not professional video quality, but enough for our VA teams.
Okay.
Anyone who wants to qualify to understand what I'm gonna do? Ooh.
Pay no attention to that tambourine.
Must have music making skills to work for our famous magician. Okay, so Shep Hyken is a well-known author, speaker, coach, trainer, all of this, and we're gonna apply the 4-stage content factory. So we know that the 4 stages in the content factory are that we produce, and Shep's already produced thousands of these different articles, podcasts, speaking, all sorts of, trainings. So we want to largely start with what you've already made. We want to repurpose a lot of this. So most people, they produce something and then they just put it on YouTube, or they just put it on TikTok, or they just put it on their blog, or they just put it on whatever, but we are going to repurpose it, and that means we are going to process it to be able to move it to the next phase. So most of this is going to be Descript. So we'll get you a VA that can use Descript to largely take videos. Could be like an hour-long podcast, whatever, that was probably put on YouTube, and then we're going to run it through Descript and chop it up into different pieces and find little highlights. Descript allows us to, it's a Swiss Army knife of video editing. We have a whole course on how to use Descript, of course, and then that allows us to post it, meaning cross-post it and repurpose it to things like YouTube Shorts and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, blog. Even though there's an office here, you want to rank on Google for your name, so we want to post it to your GMB, which is now called Google Business Profile. So it's just like, not that people are coming to this location. This is called a service area business or a national business. So we can still post all this content. Any of these snippets can be repurposed to all these different channels. And the thing that Jay Abraham teaches is, why wouldn't you just repurpose things? I mean, if it's working on Quora, why wouldn't we take that answer and move it to YouTube and move it to Instagram Reels and all this? So this alone is just going to give us a ton more reach and rankings. And the biggest goal for SEO is we want to rank on customer service speaker
And customer experience.
Customer experience, which is CX, customer experience speaker. And we know from an SEO standpoint that YouTube and the website, which is the blog, and GMP are 3 parts of what's called the Google stack. So if we take stuff and we post it only to social media, or post it inside something that is it's hidden and not visible to the Google robot. So a lot of stuff on TikTok and whatever is not visible to Googlebot and vice versa. We need to make it visible to Google. So all kinds of content, like you've been on other people's podcasts.
Right.
So those things, usually those are not transcribed. There's not show notes written, which is a derivative version of a transcription to then make it a blog post. So the SEO on your site's actually pretty good. But I'd even take, when you've been on other people's sites, we'll produce something like 5 things that we learned from that so-and-so who's on your podcast, or 5 things we learned from so-and-so about such and such topic. And then we will repurpose this to be a guest post by you on their site or on your site linking to them. Either way, this creates huge SEO power for us. Simple repurposing.
Do you understand?
So you're saying when someo's on Shep's podcast or when he's on?
Or either way.
Okay,
Either way,
and
there's
then
going to be
you
some
take those
summary of
tips
that.
and you make we'd make a post, we make a blog post with points from every one of his podcasts.
Okay, so you already are doing that.
Yes.
For the
And
blog.
our show notes.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
it turns into a blog.
Oh, even better then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do that already.
Great.
But you're suggesting, I think, saying, let's go back to the 600 plus videos, there's 900 videos, but let's say 600 of them are my tips. And you're saying, let's go ahead and turn those into mini or micro, the shorts on YouTube.
Yeah.
Because YouTube's a great place, and we should be stacking YouTube shorts up there just like we do YouTube regular videos.
Yep. YouTube Shorts are vertical 1 minute or less videos that are made to be consumed on the phone, especially on mobile. You get the Shorts carousel when you open up YouTube on the bottom there. Yeah. So a VA will manage all 4 steps of this. Last step is promote, and this is the $1 a day strategy. $1 a day is, we can take a tweet, we can take basically any of these pieces of content,
Right.
and then we can boost it. My favorite right now is Twitter, because Elon Musk is moving things around for good, and boost it to people who are at speaker bureaus, people who hire other speakers in customer service, other people that are, you know, well-known, that we know, so that people in the media.
So when you say boost it to them, are we literally putting their handle into?
No, we don't have to.
No.
But the highest authority content is, let's say, for some silly reason, like you and Jay Bear have some co-created content.
Mm-hmm.
Then maybe there's an article or a tweet or whatever it is. It's about, you know, 7 things that Jay Bear and Shep Hyken share about customer service in 2023. We would have a post that honors Jay or honors you, saying here's 7 things that Shep told me, you know, for customer service executives or whatever it might be. Ideally, if this piece of repurposed content has Jay Bear in it, and we boost it to Jay Bear's audience, the relevancy is so high,
Right.
we get that 30%, 40% click-through rate. Most people, when they run ads, so we're technically running ads here, but they don't feel like ads because they're not
So
written
you're
as ads.
trying to get your content in front of, let's say,
Jay's
another audience, and the hope is that they'll click on it.
Yeah, we're just milking their audiences.
And we're trying to click them to get to where? Where do we want to
Whatever
go?
you're
to
sharing, so if you
whatever
share
this
an
content,
article,
yeah.
the content.
Oh, okay.
So think of these little pieces, think of these as like movie trailers or like
Great.
links to
So
get
at the
into
end of
whole
each
movie.
one of those posts, there has to be some call to action.
Not necessarily, but usually it'll link back to whatever this main piece of content is. So let's say, you know, this is you write some show notes based on a podcast, and then we pull out a highlight, like one thing that you said or some like quick little tip.
Right,
Then if they enjoy this little tip, which is the movie trailer,
right.
they click
Then
on
they'll
it,
click-
then they get back to the actual thing.
Right,
Yeah, and a lot of people, when they do a podcast or do speaking or they have a book, they just put the book straight out, but you need to have these little trailer tidbit
I
things to
agree.
get people back
Yeah.
to
So
the main
our VA, whoever is watching
So-
this,
Yeah.
needs to have pretty good written skills, even
Yes.
though the script's gonna help them.
That's right.
They need to have good language skills.
They need to have perfect English, perfect written English,
Mm-hmm.
although they're not gonna need to do copywriting or be able to
No.
write words or sentences in your voice, because what they're doing is they're listening for what you have said.
Right.
Usually, if it's a speaker like you or me, when we write posts and whatnot, the first sentence is actually the headline. And we can pull out little clips along the way. So as long as
Which-
we
So
use
they're
clips of the
listening
words.
to you,
Mm-hmm.
and they're writing, and they're like almost transcribing. It's
Well,
not
no,
like
the
they're
Descript
reinventing.
is transcribing it for them.
Oh, okay, so it's not like they're reinventing or making up words.
We don't want, that gets into all kinds of trouble. We
Right.
don't want to
They're
touch.
not
But we
doing-
need them to put it into a form that makes complete sense. So one of the
Right.
problems I have with Angelica, who I love and has perfect written skills, okay, for the most part, they're pretty perfect. She'll put something in there and I go, I don't know, if I'm an average person, I have no idea what you've just written.
Right.
No idea what it means. It's taken out of context.
Sometimes we need an editor level that can be you or me, just to
Right.
look at these different snippets and say, because the headline, just like in a blog post
Mhm.
or the big text in a social media post, that headline's the most important thing. Because if you don't have that,
Right.
then they're not going to watch the rest of it, because that's the hook. That's the thing that gets their
Right.
attention. So usually, whoever's doing this will be like, okay,
Right,
so they'll create a batch of 20 or 30 of these things.
and then I can look them over.
Exactly, and
just
you're
be
like, these are good, but these 1 or 2 here is like, no, we need to change this.
or change this word to this.
And you would do that or would go
I
back
would do
and
that.
teach them
Yeah.
to
I
do
would
So
do
this
that.
would be Cindy's VA. They're going to do 90+% of it, but then the light tweaks on the headlines
Right.
are going to largely
That's
come from
easy,
you.
and
Do you
it's not-
have the time to do the 10% that's
Oh, yeah.
necessary?
That's
Okay,
not a big time suck at all.
It's worth it.
great,
Yeah.
great.
And,
And
that's
how
the
many
thing.
of these should we expect them to be able to do a day?
Off of any long form piece of content,
When you say long
We-
form, how long?
30 minutes to an hour, like a podcast.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just asking, okay.
Yeah. So off of a long form piece of content, we typically see 5 to 7 snippets. That's
Okay.
like generally, some people, they're just so good, you get like 10 or 15, but usually it's like 5 to 7.
Yeah.
Okay,
Our
But once you
podcasts
start
are
to-
20 to 25 minutes.
Then 3 to 5.
yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
So
Okay.
three to 5 of these that then get a headline that we agree on, that then gets posted to 5 or 6 channels. So now we're looking at, let's say 5 times 6, we're looking at 30 posts, right?
Okay.
Off of one
Yep.
initial piece of content. That should be less than a day of work. If they're good, they should be able to process 2 or 3 pieces of, like 2 pieces of long form content a day.
Okay, good. So that would just be blasting the
Yep.
social channels.
I mean, blasting implies that we're just, machine gunning people and spraying.
Well, no,
paint.
what I mean is if I'm getting 30
It means that you
pieces.
you'll be able to start putting something on YouTube.
It'll make you look like you're everywhere, and it'll make people think that you're constantly producing content all the time.
Right, which is what they think now. It'd be great to get them to think more.
Uh-huh.
Well, and also this will help us get it in front of the right people.
Well, it doesn't always get it in front of the right people, but it cream rises to the top. If we do this enough, the website ranking and SEO
Yeah, and we'll
ranking.
see that from your Google Analytics and whatnot. So the idea of this content factory is we have stacking power. So every stage is a multiplier. So you have a ton of content here, but think of this as like raw oil in the ground or something
Right.
like that, right? When it's processed, a lot of people just go from here to here, but
Right.
you often need a little bit of light processing, but tools like Descript and Jasper allow us to do this. When we post it, yes, we're right, we're kind of blasting it out there, but it's the key themes that
Right,
we're going
we're
against
not
that tie.
blasting
Right.
just randomness.
So the topic wheel is what governs what the structure of our content is.
Mhm.
Obviously, customer service, other
Right.
things, sub-themes related to that, other pieces of content, that these are all derivative pieces of content off of the main pieces of content that we have, with or without other people, ideally co-created content, which you have. So us taking many shots on goal means that there's usually like 1 in 10 of these will be a winner. It's just like kind of how it works. When we find a winner, we're going to put more money against it. Maybe we'll let it run for $1 a day forever, or like $3 a day forever. And our goal is, let's say after 6 months, we should have at least 10 of these in what we call the greatest hits. So the greatest hits are the ones that are doing the best. We put this into a grid, this is actually 9. And then these will just allow to run forever. And these can be promoting your book or speaking or podcast or
Ultimately,
training.
it's got to monetize itself out. I could see myself spending, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 and saying, I got a lot of followers.
This
I don't-
should generate, so the thing is, this is the most important thing from a strategy standpoint. The content you've been producing is already generating speaking, is
Right.
already generating more
Right.
visibility, is already like reputation all these
Mhm.
years, it's nothing to do with the channels. So this is just gonna multiply what you already have. So if we think about a VA for 6 months or a year, plus, $1,000 or $2,000 in ads, that should generate another couple more quality speaking engagements and inquiries. We'll see that in the analytics, we'll see that in our rankings, we'll see that with like more people, like in the comments here. So this is another VA role, this is outside of this VA role, but it could be you or maybe one of the people on your team already. When people are seeing the stuff and we're promoting it in the comments, you're going to see these other people who are like, hey, can we book Shep, or to let us know more, or hey, we have this
Right.
conference coming up, or it might be.
That's me.
Yeah.
I do that now.
Okay, so whatever
I
you're.
go on every day, twice a day, and check for every comment.
So
It's everywhere.
you're like the community manager VA too, right? And I think that if we get enough volume here,
Right, we
then
could.
we'll hire another VA.
Right,
But for
right,
now,
but
you don't
for
have enough
now-
volume, it doesn't make sense
Right,
to do that.
right.
But my hope is that this generates enough conversation that there's a VA that filters stuff out and then says, hey Cindy, look at this comment
they
here.
send me the good ones.
Yeah, so that you don't have to
Look at 'em
raw
all.
scan all of them.
Got it. That makes sense.
So the first VA is just to run through all 4 stages of these. Second VA, once we start having some volume, is to do community management against these pieces.
And then how do I say here's some of the content that I
So
want
here
to
you have-
repurpose?
You have this big database, which is, we
Right.
like to have a Google Sheet, and we call this the content library. And we have different tabs for how we organize all this, basically like raw content all the way to produced content. And
Well, everything that shows up is produced content.
But we have raw content,
Like what would be raw?
like the video, like the
like
podcast.
raw Zoom calls that eventually need to be turned into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Like raw things off of your phone, which someone has to add music to, or cut
Right.
the clips off, or
Mhm,
get rid
got
of the bloopers, or.
Okay, that's what you mean by raw.
Yeah, and we just like to
Unedited.
have one place, because if you have 5 different places,
Right,
then no one
no,
knows where to
makes
go,
perfect
and then
sense.
these people who are processing it don't know, like these people, well actually you don't have enough well, eventually we can have 2 people here, but for now, one person, this person needs to be able to go to these folders and see
Right.
like, oh, here's a weekly podcast, here's an article, without Cindy having to say, okay, now you need, like, we don't want Cindy to have to say, you need to do this, now go do this, now do that. They should
We
know.
want them to be like a machine.
Come look at this thing every day. Come in and
Pull
check
one out.
to see what there is.
Right.
If you see something, if you see that there's a new YouTube video, if you see that there's a new TikTok, if you see that, oh, I gotta make sure it's in here, and then I have to make sure I repurpose it all the way through. So the whole point of this is to take a mechanical process that still requires a human, that doesn't put any friction on it, but still is not outside the bounds of what a VA can do.
Right, and what we can do is we can go, Angelica every week says, here's your top 5 videos, and they're always older. And we can probably look at which podcasts have performed.
Oh, Angelica,
the best.
she was reading the stats, like this one got 3,000
Right,
views,
right.
and this one got 18 comments. and
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. So this VA would work hand in hand with Angelica, and I'd even want them to have the same schedule, whatever they decide that is.
So we want to put in that Google sheet, the content that's doing well now.
Yes,
and then-
because you might
right,
even have, you
Right.
might even be able to pre-populate this before we run stuff all the way through here.
Right, okay.
So,
Yeah, I think this is, I don't wanna oversell this or set the
No.
wrong expectations, but
No,
I love seeing situations where you already have something that's winning,
right.
but you just haven't repurposed it to all the channels. So just a little bit of light editing, not professional video editing, like I know you have like
Right.
professional people, we do too, but this does not require professional stuff.
No,
Just to
not
push
for
to other
this.
channels, like
Right.
literally, the arbitrage is,
This is
you're
the
not
taste.
ranking in SEO for things that we
No.
should get because we're not feeding it to the channels that Google wants
This
to
is
see.
the taste to get them to what you want to get.
right, so how does this get me more SEO?
Well, if we look at customer experience speaker,
Right, but we need to make sure the way it's written is written optimized for these terms.
so the call we had this morning with Jordan, he was talking about like, here's the homepage and here's how we represent you and like not too old but cutting edge and all these kinds of things like testimonials and here's the topics that we have and all that's great, right? That's front door all the way down. SEO is ranking on keywords that are on related sorts of topics. So customer service speaker, CX speaker, whatever's like our money term.
Mm-hmm.
And then below that are all these related sorts of tail terms that are not quite as competitive.
Right.
So think about like the subtopics within there. We'll map that to, like these are subtopics. We'll
So,
map
like,
that to content we already
In
have that
some
maybe
ways,
are tied to the
in
greatest
some ways
hits.
you almost want to rank high on some of those subtopics, because, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in order to rank on our money term, the leading indicator is being able to rank on the subtopics. So when you tell us what those greatest hits are over here, odds are those are things that organically have done well in one channel. So organically it's done well in one channel. So we're now going to go to more channels and then we're going to put paid against it.
So let's say the top 5 videos of all time that have done the best on YouTube. We need to look at what that is, that topic, right? And
Exactly.
and-
You know exactly where we're going with this.
And because
Yeah.
that is what people are searching and finding you. That's
Okay.
what they want. And I don't care what you want.
I get it.
Do you see what I'm
So,
saying?
It's
so
the
would
proof
it
of
be,
what's
would
working.
it be smart to say, let's find the number one,
Top 5.
no, the number one video we have, the number one blog we have, the number one, let's get the number ones in all of our categories. And let's,
A top few, but yeah.
yeah, well, what I mean is, when I say categories, I need a YouTube video, I need a blog.
You need more than one.
No, listen to what I'm saying, okay? And we then do that as the example, and we blow that one out and show this is exactly how it works. Now we need to do it.
Yeah.
Now you know how this works, and this is how, now, so that's how we have to create the video and the tutorial with a piece of content.
Well, we already have that over and over again in all the other industries. That's what this whole point of the
okay.
content factory
So
is.
what do we do now? If we say we want to do this, Dennis.
Now, I'm going to take this video that we made,
Okay.
I'm gonna post it in 2 of our groups and say, this video right here, and say, if you understand this, demonstrate that you have qualified and gone through the level 1 VA training, that you've gone through the content factory training, that you understand everything there is about Shep Hyken, so you can Google him. If you meet those 3 criteria, make a 1-minute video about that and linking to your test results and other things showing that you are qualified, and then we will interview you. And if several of you are qualified, we'll hire multiple people, because there's people other than Shep. Like, we can use people on all sorts, like, we've got to hire another 100 people in the next month or 2 for other things that we have. So, if you're qualified, this is a great job. If you are relatively new, then this will be $2, $3 an hour, so call that $500 a month. If you're really good, it could be $1,000 a month or even $1,500 a month. If you're really good, as in you have experience, you've demonstrated, you've done this. And I don't care if you've done video editing before with Premiere and After Effects, that's great. but I wanna see that you can drive business results, meaning this is driving more speaking inquiries, this is helping us rank on these key keywords, this is content that is well written, not because you say it's well written, but clients say it's well written. So between $500 a month, $1,500 a month, this is a great job. There's lots of roles to do this for other figureheads like Shep. Okay? And then you would work with Cindy, who's outside of this camera, and then you'd work with the other team members who are in the Philippines and other places perhaps. And this is great. You have to work working hours here, which are
8 to 5.
8 to 5 Central Time. Yeah, which is pretty common, right? A lot of our VAs, they understand, like we have a lot of stay-at-home moms, so they work in the evening when the child's gone to bed, and they work till like 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. or whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Great.
Awesome.
Awesome.
So there it is. I'm
Thanks.
gonna take this video. That's no need to write up anything. We just made a video, and if they can't watch